Commander Vorrak of the Galactic Surveyor Fleet had seen many things in his 412 years of service. He had watched stars collapse. He had witnessed entire species go extinct without ever realizing they were being observed. He had cataloged more than 9,000 planets, rating their inhabitants on a scale from 1 to 10 based on potential threat level. Not once, not even once, had any species scored higher than a 6. Earth? Earth was a 2. Put it on the screen, Vorrak said, leaning back in his command chair, completely unbothered. His second-in-command, a pale, six-limbed officer named Vorrak, tapped the console with 3 hands at once. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a blue and green planet wrapped in swirling white clouds, resting quietly in a very unremarkable corner of a very ordinary solar system. "Sir," Vorrak said, "the humans are transmitting again." "Of course they are," Vorrak muttered. "They've been transmitting for about a century now. Radio waves, digital signals, occasional laser bursts. You know what they still haven't figured out?" He gestured lazily toward the planet. "That we are sitting right here, 11,000 kilometers above their largest ocean, completely invisible to their instruments." Vorrak hesitated. "Actually, sir, about that." Vorrak turned slowly. The way Vorrak held all 6 of his hands slightly rigid, the way his secondary eyes had widened just a little too much, told Vorrak something had gone wrong. Magnificently wrong. "Tell me," Vorrak said. "They know we are here," Vorrak whispered. Silence swallowed the bridge. Then Vorrak laughed. It was the kind of laugh someone gives when they're absolutely certain the other person must be joking. "Vorrak," he said warmly, "that's hilarious. These are creatures who still argue about the shape of their own planet. There is no possible way they detected a cloaked surveyor-class vessel with their 10 telescopes and adorable little space probes." Vorrak slowly placed a message onto the main screen. It was written in Vorraki. Perfect Vorraki. Not just modern fleet standard, either. Ancient dialect. The kind of Vorraki that had not been spoken across the general fleet in over 2 centuries. The message was short. Very short. "We see you. Come down or we come up. Your choice. You have 48 hours." It was signed. Marcus Webb, United Earth Diplomatic Division. The bridge became very, very quiet. Vorrak stared at the message for a long time. Then he looked at Vorrak. Then back at the screen. "How," he finally asked, "did a species with a threat rating of 2 learn Ancient Vorraki?" Vorrak pulled up a secondary file. "Sir, it appears their archaeologists discovered fragments of a surveyor probe that crash-landed on their southern continent approximately 600 years ago." He paused. "They've had 6 centuries to study the materials. 6 centuries to reverse-engineer fragments of Vorraki computational code. 6 centuries of quiet research while every single assessment team that visited this planet looked at their wars, their weapons, and their primitive medicine, and rated them a 2. Vorrak closed his eyes. "Nobody," he said slowly, "looked at their patients." "No, sir," Vorrak replied. "Nobody did." Vorrak stood from his chair and walked toward the massive viewing window at the front of the bridge. He placed both hands against a glass and stared down at the small blue planet below. Somewhere down there, a man named Marcus Webb was sitting at a desk, looking up at the sky. Calm, waiting. "Pull every assessment report ever filed on this planet," Vorrak said quietly. "Every single one." Vorrak was already doing it. Reports began scrolling across the secondary display. 47 reports, filed over 300 years by 19 different survey teams. Every single report reached the same conclusion. Primitive, aggressive, self-destructive tendencies. No evidence of coordinated, long-term strategic intelligence. Vorrak read every one of them. Then he turned and looked at his crew. Every alien face on the bridge wore the same expression. The universal expression that translates into every language as, "Oh no." Vorrak said. "Yes, sir. Give me Marcus Webb. Opening channels, sir." The screen shifted, and there he was, a human, sitting behind a very plain desk in a very plain office. Middle-aged, ordinary face, a warm cup of something steaming in his hand. He looked exactly like a man who had been expecting this call for a very long time. Marcus Webb smiled. "Hello," he said in flawless Vorraki. We've been waiting for this conversation. For the first time in 412 years of service, Commander Vorrak felt something unfamiliar. He felt small. Vorrak had rehearsed this moment in his mind ever since the message arrived. He had prepared a speech, a dignified, authoritative opening statement, the kind that reminded newly contacted species exactly where they stood in the galactic order of things. Something along the lines of, "Greetings, primitive world. The Galactic Surveyor Fleet acknowledges your existence." What actually came out was, "How long have you known?" Marcus Webb took a slow sip from his cup. He did not rush. He was not nervous. He carried the calm energy of a man who had already won the argument and was simply waiting for the other side to catch up. "Officially," Marcus said, 48 hours. We sent the message the moment we confirmed your exact coordinates." He paused. "Unofficially? We have suspected something was up there for about 30 years. Behind Vorrak, Dravak made a quiet sound that was not quite a word, more like a small, defeated exhale. 30 years, Vorrak repeated. 30 years, Marcus confirmed pleasantly. Your cloaking system is excellent, by the way. Truly impressive engineering. The only problem is that it bends light, which creates a very faint but very specific gravitational shadow. One of our physicists noticed it in telescope data back in the 90s. Marcus smiled slightly. She filed a report. The report was ignored because, well, nobody believed her. "But you did," Vorrak said. "Her name was Dr. Amara Solis," Marcus replied. And for the first time, something in his voice shifted from polite diplomacy to something quieter and more personal. "She spent 20 years being laughed at. She kept working anyway. She built an entire detection network from scratch using funding she had to fight for every single year." Marcus looked directly at the screen. "She passed away 4 years ago, before we decoded enough of your probe fragments to write that message." He paused. "She never got to see this moment. But she is the reason this conversation exists." Vorrak said nothing. He was recalibrating. Fast. Because this was not how first contact normally happened. First contact followed a predictable pattern. The advanced species made contact. The primitive species panicked, worshipped, begged, surrendered, or occasionally tried to attack. They did not sit calmly across a screen and give you the biography of the scientist who quietly dismantled your greatest technological advantage over 3 decades. "Commander," Marcus continued, setting his cup down, "I want to be honest with you. I think we are past the point where either of us benefits from pretending. We have read everything stored in that probe. The historical records, the survey protocols, your threat rating system." He folded his hands together on the desk. "We know you gave us a 2. The silence on the bridge became enormous. And Vorrak said carefully, "And we are not offended," Marcus replied. "Honestly, that was probably a fair assessment at the time. We were a mess. We are still a bit of a mess." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "But here's the thing about humans, Commander. We do not need to be perfect to be dangerous. We just need to be motivated." Somewhere near the back of the bridge, a junior officer quietly asked Dravak what the protocol was for upgrading a species' threat rating during an active first contact scenario. Dravak told him, very quietly, to stop talking. Vorrak stepped closer to the screen. "What do you want?" he asked. "Not a threat. Not a negotiation tactic. A genuine question." Marcus nodded slowly, as if pleased that Vorrak had finally reached the correct point in the conversation. "A seat," he said, "at whatever table the big decisions are made. Equal terms. No surveillance without our knowledge. And no more 47 reports written about us while we sat down here, having absolutely no idea we were being studied like zoo animals." He paused. "And one more thing. Credit, in the official record, for Dr. Amara Solis." Vorrak turned and looked at his crew. Every single one of them looked back. Dravak had already opened the formal first contact treaty protocols on his console. His expression made it painfully clear that every clause in those protocols assumed the contacted species would be the one making requests, not demands. Vorrak turned back to the screen. "I will have to take this to the High Council," he said. "Of course," Marcus replied calmly. "We are patient people." And there was again that word, patient. 47 assessment reports, 3 centuries, 19 different survey teams. And not once, not a single time, had any report used that word to describe humans. Vorrak closed the channel. He walked back to the massive viewing window and looked down at the small blue planet below. Quiet, beautiful, completely unbothered. Dravok, he said. Yes, sir. File an amended assessment report. What threat rating, sir? Vorrak looked at Earth for a long, silent moment. Then he answered, Leave it blank. I do not think our scale goes that high. Congratulations. You just awakened humanity. Subscribe for more HFY stories.